A man jumped from the helicopter straight into the yellow fog. Inhaling it, he awakened his demonic power, spatial inversion. Landing directly on the gate, he caught the attention of a girl, who was surprised by how suddenly he had appeared. She decided to warn him that it was dangerous here. Hearing the girl's voice, the demon abruptly turned in her direction, a bloodthirsty smile appearing on his monstrous face. In the next moment, he lunged at the woman, swinging his razor-sharp claws like a spider. Seeing the demon flying toward her, the girl barely managed to dodge his attack, but the monster was already standing next to her, preparing to pierce her with his needle-like claws. Space began to distort under the influence of the silver-haired man's ability. A portal opened just behind the head of the unsuspecting monster. Reaching into the spatial rift, the man ripped off the demon's head, along with part of its spine. Blood gushed from the decapitated body like a fountain, while the man stood there, clutching the severed head in his hand. The shocked team could only stand frozen, their mouths agape. Descending to the ground, the man turned to them and said that they had done a great job and that they could rest now. He would take care of everything himself. A guy in glasses stared at him in admiration, while the girl asked who this man was. Quickly coming to his senses, the guy explained that this was the first known wielder of a demonic ability, the one who founded the department for combating yellow dust. At that moment, the man was already preparing to use his power. Placing his hand on the ground, he released spatial slashes that shot toward the mountain and soared into the sky. The others watched in awe, witnessing the head Chon Il-du's spatial ability for the first time. As the rifts took shape, the man began to expand them. At that moment, on Mount Cheongye in Seoul, the wielder of the ice demon ability struggled to hold back the approaching monster. He shouted at his partner to get away. The creature was already too close. The man conjured an ice shield, blocking the monster's powerful blows. But as cracks spread across the frozen barrier, he realized it wouldn't hold for long. This was the end. With a final, shattering strike, the ice crumbled, sending the man flying backward. Seeing the monster raise its arm for a fatal blow, he instinctively threw himself in front of his partner, determined to shield them, even if it cost him his life. But the attack never came. Looking up in shock, he saw the monster's body being pulled into a spatial rift. Chon Il-du's hand was gripping the demon's head tightly. With a cold stare, he hurled the creature aside. It crashed into the rock and briefly lost consciousness. Ensuring that the beast was no longer a threat, Chon Il-du decided to eliminate other threats throughout Korea. Seoraksan Mountain, a demon stepped onto a young man's chest, pinning him down. It muttered something in its guttural, demonic tongue. Then, in a flash, its clawed finger pierced straight through the man's chest. A spatial rift opened behind the monster, and in the blink of an eye, it was sucked inside. Madong Mountain, Halasan Mountain, and other places where there were demons, all of them were sucked into the spatial gap. At Seoul headquarters, an operator reported to the director, "The yellow dust has disappeared in all regions, except for Busan." Hearing this, the woman only sighed in relief. That meant he had made it there without any problems. The demons stood in a circle, watching their prey. "Let's begin," Chon Il-du said calmly. As if on command, the creatures lunged at him all at once, but he simply raised his index finger and waved it. In an instant, a spatial rift swept across the monsters' necks like a blade, slicing through them effortlessly. One by one, the headless bodies collapsed to the ground, spraying blood. The agents were stunned. No, they were terrified. Chon Il-du approached the fire demon, whose body was already cut into pieces. He crouched down, inspecting the creature closely, then turned to the translator girl. Lifting what remained of the demon, he asked, "Why have your appearances become more frequent?" The girl translated the demon's response, "Bring him to me." "Who?" Chon Il-du demanded. But the demon only repeated the same phrase over and over. "Po Cho." The translator shrugged. She said that most likely the demon was repeating a phrase he had heard somewhere. Chon Il-du tossed the monster's body aside. "If more of them come, I'll simply destroy them all." There was still one last issue to deal with, the gate that had remained open for 3 days. Chon Il-du bent down and placed his palm against the ground. A purple glow began to radiate from his hand. A massive spatial rift shot toward the gate, swallowing it into the void. Slowly, the portal sank into the abyss of darkness and vanished. The agents watched in awe, mesmerized by the spectacle. A few seconds later, the clearing stood completely empty. The yellow dust had disappeared as well. The next morning, the director arrived at Chon Il-du's office, concern evident in her eyes. "What exactly happened to the gate?" she asked. "It's now inside my space of darkness," he reassured her. The woman said, "That sounds worse than death." The director turned on a large TV screen. "I've prepared the information you requested." The screen displayed dossiers of all new recruits from the past week. She asked, "Since when do you take such an interest in new employees?" Chan Il-du leaned in, studying their faces carefully. I need to find out who the demons are looking for and why they need him. Hundreds of demons look at the mother. They listen to her command. My children, bring him to me. We need him for this. Ganghwa Island, Yellow Dust Rapid Response Department. And yet, here I am, Hanmaru thought. His mother had cried with joy when she heard he got the offer, so there was no way he could refuse. It would have broken her heart. A man, reeking of alcohol, looked at him with clear disapproval. What are you doing here? I don't need cowards in my department. Then, turning away, he greeted another new recruit, Songwoo, who looked absolutely furious. Why the hell am I here instead of Seoul? The man smirked sarcastically. There must be something wrong with you if they sent you here. Then he shrugged. In any case, welcome to the Ganghwa team. Hanmaru swallowed nervously. What the hell was he even doing here? Strange images flashed through his mind. What were they? Nightmares? But as the door opened and he stepped inside, he was genuinely surprised. This was nothing like what he had imagined. Before he could process it, the man spoke up. First, let's do introductions. I'm Doc Man, head of the Ganghwa Island branch. Pointing to the others, he continued. Agent Yoon Ji, 7 years of service. Agent Kim Park, 7 years of service. Agent Nam Yo Sok, 1 year of service. And with that, Docman simply walked away without another word. Hanmaru hesitantly took a seat, his gaze drifting toward Songwoo. Something about him felt off. Wanting to break the ice, he asked, Is something wrong? Songwoo scowled. Why the hell are you staring at me? He was clearly furious. How could someone as elite as him be assigned to this backwater team? Hanmaru sighed and turned to Nam Yo Suk, who was casually browsing for clothes. Trying again, he asked, So, what's the Ganghwa team like? The Yellow Dust Rapid Response Department has only 13 divisions across Korea, each responsible for monitoring a specific mountain in its region. Agents with a level 7 ability or higher are assigned to headquarters and only deployed on critical missions. Then there are places like Ganghwado, sparsely populated areas where demons rarely appear and are usually low-level threats. Incompetent and damaged, agents are often sent to such locations. Now, Hanmaru finally understood why he was here. However, not everyone here was weak. There were also powerful agents who had chosen to work in these regions voluntarily. Just then, a young woman entered the office, her damp hair and fresh scent indicating she had just come from a shower. Seeing Hanmaru, Captain Chana narrowed her eyes. She remembered him, the strange newcomer who had bitten into a demon's flesh during battle. Meanwhile, Hanmaru overheard something that immediately caught his attention. Fighting demons earns an extra bonus, 5 times their regular salary, so all have to do is wait for the alarm. Nothing happened all day, so Hanmaru relaxed with a cup of coffee, thinking, this job is amazing. No stress, insane pay, I could get used to this. Docman suddenly stood up and stretched. All right, that's enough for today. We're heading to the bar, time to celebrate our 2 new recruits. Meanwhile, in Seoul, the director descended to the secret floor of headquarters. There, Chan Il-du stood waiting. How are things? He asked. The director sighed. The demon's vast behavior is returning to normal. Chan Il-du, standing beside a massive glass capsule, placed his hand against its surface. Inside, a demon was restrained, its body floating in a strange liquid. Have we found the reason for their sudden activity? The woman hesitated. No, but could it be because that day is approaching? Chan Il-du didn't respond immediately, his eyes fixed on the captive demon. Finally, he muttered, I'm not sure yet, but we need to make sure the captains keep their mouths shut. At that moment, Docman said that in a year, it would all be over anyway, because Judgment Day would come. Many gates would open in the sky, and demons would pour down from above. Hanmaru realized what kind of mess he was in. Docman warned that this was top secret. After saying that, he continued drinking. Hanmaru couldn't understand why these people remained so carefree. Suddenly, new gates appeared on the mountain, and yellow mist began to seep out. After the mist, the demon itself started to emerge. Many clawed paws stretched out from the gates. Everyone looked at their phones. Captain Chana said that she would handle the demon. A rather drunk Sanwoo volunteered to go with her, but she quickly refused, saying she would go with Hanmaru instead. Hanmaru choked upon hearing this. Sitting in the car, Hanmaru couldn't stop thinking about the prophecy, the one that could bring destruction to the entire world. Captain Chana called out to him, snapping him out of his thoughts. No need to stress about it, she said. The government is already working on a solution. Besides, it's our job to find the demon and eliminate it. It sounded terrifying, but also kind of cool. Then she smirked. And your ability is pretty special. I've never seen such a glutton before. Glutton? Hanmaru repeated, confused. So that demon was a devourer? After activating his ability, Hanmaru has no memory of what happens to him during that time. Hanmaru hesitated before asking, So, what exactly is my ability? Chana grinned. To devour demons, whole. Hanmaru blinked. Excuse me? A demon screeched as Chana impaled it, immobilizing the creature. Hanmaru stood there, frozen. Wait, you seriously want me to eat it? Chana beamed. Yep. Once you consume a demon's flesh, it loses its ability to regenerate. Hanmaru felt sick. All right, pull yourself together. It's just food. Just food. Just... His mind desperately tried to rationalize it. Yeah, it's not a demon. It's an octopus. Just an octopus. He opened his mouth, determined to take a bite. Yum. Chana's smile immediately disappeared. Eat it. Now, she snapped. Clenching his jaw, Hanmaru fought his disgust and leaned in again, this time trying to rip off another piece. The next morning, Hanmaru lay slumped over his desk, writhing in pain from a horrible stomachache. Sanu turned to him. So you threw up on a mission? What a loser. Hanmaru groaned, barely lifting his head. What do you want? That only made Sanu more irritated. Because of an idiot like you, I'm stuck in this damn office. The captain is actually trying to train you, and all you're doing is getting in the way. With that, he stormed off, leaving Hanmaru alone with his thoughts. I need to figure out how to use my ability. A warning siren blared through the building. Chana, where the hell is Hanmaru? At that moment, he was sitting on the toilet, deep in thought. Can I even eat demons while staying in my right mind? Having the ability wasn't enough. He needed to get a grip on it. Suddenly, a loud voice snapped him back to reality. Hanmaru! She asked if he was hiding in the toilet from her. Hanmaru quickly scrambled for an excuse. I think I got food poisoning after eating that demon yesterday. Chana sighed. You're not cut out for this job. People like you shouldn't be in the government. You can just sign a non-disclosure agreement and live the rest of your life under surveillance. Hanmaru froze. Wait, what about my personal life? Chana's eyes narrowed. Better than dying. Morally weak people don't last long in this job. Then her tone turned cold. And worse, because of people like you, civilians can die. So leave the team if you can't do your job. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. We don't have that few employees, you know. With that, she simply walked away, leaving Hanmaru alone with his thoughts. Sometime later, Doc Man looked around the office. Anyone seen Hanmaru? No one responded. Someone was clearly pretending not to have heard. Meanwhile, Hanmaru stood alone on a bridge, staring out at the city. Maybe I really should quit this job. Living under surveillance was better than dying in battle. Pulling out his phone, he hesitated, then dialed. Hello, Mom? I wanted to tell you something. Wait, Mom, where are you? Her voice was cheerful. Oh, I'm hiking on Mount Inwang with a friend. Hanmaru went pale. Mom, I told you not to go to the mountains. But she didn't seem to hear him. Huh? That's strange. Where is all this dust coming from? Hanmaru's breath caught in his throat. Mom, say that again. But the call cut off. Yellow dust. In the mountains, where Mom is. Mount Inwang, team dispatch. The Inwangsan response team stood on high alert. Their commander warned, threat level 5, stay cautious. One of the agents suddenly looked up, eyes wide. The captain frowned. What is it, rookie? Following his gaze, he froze. A demon sat perched on a branch, chewing on a severed human hand. Its grin was grotesque, and on its forehead, something sparkled, a fragment that resembled a mirror or a metal plate. Hanmaru felt his stomach drop. Mom was in danger. Without thinking, he sprinted toward the mountain.